Hello guys, up on a roof this afternoon in Brighton. It's another one of our lightweight meadows. We didn't do so many of them last year and there seems to be loads that are around at the moment. I think we've got about 4 or 5 gone down recently. We've got 6 more in the pipeline. They're flying off the shelves. However, I got a call from the contractor to say when we come along today to do the seeding, which we couldn't do when the roof went in December because we weren't past the frost and couldn't be confident that the seedlings wouldn't get crushed by the cold. The contractor pointed out that when we came round to do this, that in 1 or 2 places the filter fleece, which is one of the components I'll explain in a second, wasn't returned properly up the aluminium upstand on the perimeter, and there was a concern that some of the fines might leak down the side. So that we're just putting that right. I thought doing so would give an opportunity to explain some of the components of the green roof. You can see on the edging down there where I've deliberately left that bit a little bit exposed, the filter fleece, to show you the about a foot wide piece that I'm tucking underneath the geotex. Jargon free, let me explain some of these terms. So the most important thing, as I said pretty much every video I've made, and anyone that will listen, is the amount of substrate. When you've got the right amount of substrate, and there are national guidelines for this freely available online, GRO guidelines, most recently updated in 2014 I believe. When you've got enough substrate, you're away. But there are some other things which are essential. First of all, it goes down on top of the waterproofing, a geotextile protection layer. That's like a recycled fleece. It's the kind of thing that you see removal men using to wrap up your chest of drawers on removals day. That kind of material, varying thicknesses. On a pitch roof, for example, we get a really thick version of that. Do away with the drainage and put that underneath the substrate to hold as much water as possible on the roof of the plants. On a flat roof, it's usually a few mil thick. So that goes down first, and then you may or may not have a drainage layer. That's the egg cup, inverted egg cup. That goes down next as a reservoir board, but also a means of carrying away a consistent amount of water. I was visiting one in Saturday in Wimbledon, which the thing had been installed upside down. I would fairly obviously the egg cups go in such a way that they hold the water, and then there were small holes perforated in the top that allow the rest to clear away. Now there are different schools of thought about the drainage boards. They can be several different depths of thickness. For an extensive green roof, 25 mil thick is plenty. You don't want to over-engineer, and you don't need more cost and plastic, even if it is recycled plastic. You don't need more than you need you don't want more than you need on your roof. Now, different schools of thought. There are some that say no drainage at all and do away with that expensive component altogether. In our experience, that's tended to make roofs somewhat waterlogged and has encouraged grass. Now, nothing wrong with grass, but where you put in your wildflower plugs and seeded, it tends to, in the experience that we've got working without drainage, to give a less than desirable, suboptimal outcome for the diversity of planting. And where that's a metric, that's something to bear in mind. Now, where you've got a parapet all the way around the roof, so a brick or timber structure all the way around the outside of the perimeter of your roof, then you're always going to need something to make sure water can clear. In that case, in those instances, a drainage board is essential. We tend to mix and match a little bit, and so we'll put about half of the roof area covered with drainage, half, 2/3, 1/3, and fanning out from the outlets to encourage some areas which are more retentive of water, and other areas where it clears. And those areas where it clears are around the outlets for hopefully obvious reasons. Now then, above the drainage board is the filter fleece, which I mentioned we're putting down on the roof. Much thinner material, much cheaper, about £1 a square metre, £1.50, and that job is simply to separate the substrate, all the particles of the substrate from the drainage board, so as not to clog it. Not rocket science, but a protection layer, a retention stroke drainage layer, and then a separation fleece, substrate, and then you seed. So those are some of the basic elements of a core extensive roof. If you're interested in finding out who the best suppliers are for those things, or indeed getting someone to do it for you, then give us a shout.